Someone.
Something with the volume.
Sorry, it's not you. It's me. My sound. And I was blaming you. So it hasn't done that before. So apologies to everybody for the weird mix-up on sound, and welcome to another chat about beer, basically. I think this will be a good one because I have with me Keith Yager from at the moment from Cross-Eyed Owl Brewery in Alabama. But you have a long history of brewing down in Alabama, I think.
Yes, true.
So maybe what we could do is maybe you want to give us a bit of your background, because you're not from Alabama originally.
No, I moved from Pennsylvania, which is on the East Coast, about to 1993. I started homebrewing in 1996, and I didn't start professional brewing until 2010.
Okay, so what were you doing in between 1996 and 2010 then, I guess?
Well, graphic designer, which I still do a little bit of that, but a lot of homebrewing, that's for sure. And then in 2010, a few friends of mine we got together and decided we wanted to open a brewery. This was on just when craft brewing was really new to Alabama, because there are a lot of laws that prohibited brewing. We weren't allowed to have beer over 6% alcohol even. So once those laws went away, we had a little bit of freedom, and we decided to move forward.
Yeah, because that's something like looking at from the outside, obviously craft brewing, kind of America, and you forget about the regional differences sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What it is. So it's basically 2010 you were allowed to start commercially craft brewing, and you jumped in and founded
Yellowhammer Brewing, right? Correct. Yeah, we were one of the first. We were not the first, but we were one of the handful of first breweries in Alabama. And I think we were surprised that we thought we were going to be the first one in Huntsville. That's not 100% true. There was a small brewery in Huntsville, but they weren't making very good beer at the time. But we thought we were going to be the first brewery in Huntsville, and then two others beat us to the punch. We all opened within about I guess 6 months of each other. So,
what was the beer scene like there then? Just before you opened, was it all kind of Budweiser macros, or were you getting
a lot of macros? There were there's Huntsville's fairly cosmopolitan, so there's a lot of people from all over. There's even people from Germany that live here. So we had semi-decent beer selection, but nothing like you could get in California or even Pennsylvania or anything like that. And the laws, prohibited over 6% alcohol. So even though you'd find a few every now and then that were 6.5% that somehow made it through, a lot of it was just Sam Adams. But for the real old timers might remember Pete's Wicked Ale and that sort of thing. We had some imports, but it was fairly vanilla, which is why I got into homebrewing in the first place, because I come from Pennsylvania, and we did have more breweries back in a lot better beer selection back then. So, right. And that's one of the reasons why I got into craft in homebrewing, and then eventually craft brewing.
And was there a big homebrewing scene there then?
So it was also in Alabama, unbeknownst to me, homebrewing was illegal. So I kind of like to think that I was a pirate at the same time, an outlaw. And we didn't. There was even a couple of homebrew shops in Alabama, and people were homebrewing that didn't realize what the law was. And my mom is the one who bought me my first homebrew kit, and so she brought it from Pennsylvania, and here I am brewing in my little apartment. Had no idea I was breaking the law at the time.
Yeah,
but stupid law, anyways. But
yeah, and how's anybody going to know? Like, they're not going to come knock in every apartment. So
I never had any problems, but
All right, and you were brewing what, I suppose, just generally IPAs, or?
So no, I was really always interested in European styles. Not that I didn't brew a lot of IPAs, but I really enjoyed. I enjoyed German, Belgian styles, you know, and then once I got out to the West Coast, I really got to try a lot of the IPAs. You know, then I did start brewing a lot more IPAs, but I've been interested in, you know, just all kinds of beer styles, but definitely European.
Right. And were you brewing for yourself, or like?
I was brewing mostly for myself, but it was large. I had a pretty large shop. It was probably illegal, even on you know, national standards. You know, there's like I said, supposed to be able to do 200 gallons a person or something like that, and I was probably over that. A lot of it got dumped just because, not even if it was good, I was still dumping because I had something else fresh coming in. And once it got out of control, that's when I realized that I just probably needed to go professional with it. So.
Right. And how did that happen then? I mean, what did you do that, you know, did you wake up one day and say, that's it, I'm packing the job? And
I had worked for the newspaper here in Huntsville for about 15 years. And it just so happened that I got a buyout from them thanks to eBay and Craigslist and everything. You know, I ran the newspaper out of business. And so I got a nice buyout, and like I said, a couple of people that I knew were looking for a brewer, and of course I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was a home brewer trying to start a craft brewery, and while I had the knowledge on how to make good beer, I had no idea about equipment or anything. So it was a steep learning process, and we started off as just a big home brewery, making hobbled together a bunch of 55-gallon tanks together and made what was almost a 3-barrel brew house. But it started really small, and thankfully, I don't toot my horn too much, but thankfully I could make some good beer. And so we garnered a lot of attention and a lot of interest, and we were able to build from there. And since then, I mean, I've brewed from everything from, you know, the 55-gallon setup to rigged up dairy tanks to a 30-barrel steam jacketed internal calandria. You know, I've done the whole gamut, and now I'm back down to kind of brewing on what's a big homebrew system again. And I like it. It's actually really fast and fun. If anybody's familiar, homebrewers are familiar with a brew in the bag. This is almost like a brew in a bag, but or like a Brewzilla or the Anvil. It has a large stainless canister that pulls out of the mash, and so it's not a traditional 2-vessel brew house or 3-vessel, even 3. So it's interesting, but it's very fast and one person can run it. So I've been enjoying it.
Right, and that's do you call it Cross-Eyed Owl or XEO? Because
it's
you have
Cross-Eyed Owl. Now I didn't come up with the names and everything. I just bought the brewery, but it's Cross-Eyed Owl. The original founder wanted to make a pub feel, something that was more of an English style pub, and for whatever reason he didn't have English style beers, very many of them, but. And so he came up with the name. He had designed the original logo. The logo's since been changed. And I actually started working here about a year ago. And then I bought the company literally a month ago. So, but it is Cross-Eyed Owl. That's right.
Okay. Because the website was XEO, and
and so
you could figure out what it means.
You know, and it sounds better than CEO Brewing.
CEO Brewing doesn't sound great at all. Yeah. By the way, just I'll interrupt you there. We have a few people actually watching at the moment. So if you want to say hi in the comments or ask any questions, please do. Cool. And we'll try and answer them. So maybe before we go to Cross-Eyed Owl, we'll go back a little bit. So you had Yellowhammer, like you said, it slowly grew. Were you selling only in, like, did you have a tap room, or were you selling?
Tap rooms were illegal in Alabama at first. So once we got a tap room, it changed a lot of things. I mean, it changed. I'm not gonna say we were profitable, but we weren't hemorrhaging as bad as we were before, because tap room in Alabama doesn't make it easy for breweries to make money, because we have to go through the 3-tier system. And so the only way to really make money is either to get really, really big, so that you can skim off your tight profit margins, or to sell beer at your tap room. And so once we did open a small tap room, which was I guess 4 years into it, 3 or 4 years into it, once the laws changed, we were able to pay ourselves a little bit and that sort of thing. So not a lot, but a little bit.
Yeah, well, I very rarely hear a brewer say that it's, they're making a fortune on it.
Right. No, it's not a money making venture.
No.
It's a beer making venture.
Just to mention there, you mentioned this 3-tier system. I'm not familiar.
Okay,
I only came across that there's some very weird rules.
Yeah. So this 3-tiered system is I can't sell directly to a restaurant. I have to go through the 2nd tier. I'm the producer. The 2nd tier is the distributor. They take it, collect the taxes, and they make money off. It's unfortunately just the way the laws are, and not every state. Some states allow self-distributing. Alabama does not. We'd like to change that.
No, because I did come across something recently which really struck me as weird, because obviously, everywhere has distributors for where you can't reach that, but that you're kind of tied into, I don't know if this is the case in Alabama or not, but some places you're tied into a distributor and you can't get rid of them. And
that's right. Yeah. So once you sign the distributor, they take over. They own your brand in the territory and that territory. And right. So it's hard. It's not possible to get away from them, but it's not easy. And so they have to really mess up, and then and they have a lot more money than the breweries have, because they're selling Budweiser and everything else. So once you pick your distributor, choose wisely, because you're going to be stuck with it. It's going to be a marriage. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's that can't be easy. I mean, I was amazed when I read it, but anyway,
it's stupid. I'll tell you, it's really dumb.
I was trying to be polite there.
I'm not going to be polite. It sucks.
So you're still stuck with that kind of distributor system, and
yeah.
Today. Okay.
Yeah, well, so we have a Brewers Guild. So, I think at some point in time, it's possible we may be able to change it. But okay. I actually like my distributor. They're good. If they're watching, we're buds.
And is it true then your tap room has to buy from the distributor or something?
No, that is not true. They tried to pass that law. But we fought. That's one of the things about having the guild, is that we were able not. So that would really be difficult.
Yeah, that was going a step too stupid.
Yeah. That they wanted to do it that way. I mean, that's what the distributors, their lobbyists, really wanted it to be that way. But thankfully, it's not.
Anyway, so so getting out of that. So Yellowhammer was set up. It was going along, like you said, started to make some profit with the tap room and you. Yeah,
we gotta, I don't want to, I'm not with Yellowhammer anymore, and it was not an amicable split up. I'll just say that. But we were able to get one in particular investor, and once we got that investor, we were able to build a production facility that is what they have now, and it's fairly nice. It's not a bad production facility. It's pretty good, actually, and it's got a nice tap room. So
okay. And then, so let's bring it back to today. So then you worked with other breweries for a while, and then you ended up in.
I bounced around at a bunch of different breweries. Luckily, the interesting thing for me personally is graphic design, which is what I'm a trained graphic designer. Is what I do. It's there's not as much of a market for that. Everybody can be a desktop publisher now, so I stuck with graphic design. My wife is an engineer, so of course she makes the money. So she, so I've been able to bounce around a few different little breweries and learned a lot. You think you know all of this, but every time you go to a different brewery, you learn something new. And so it actually has made me a better brewer. And I actually worked for one of our competitors, Yellowhammer's competitors, Straight to Ale. I worked for them for several months and ran their brew house with their head brewer, and then I went down to Mobile and brewed down. That was during COVID, so that was a mess. And I came back here and I brewed for another brewery called Rocket Republic, and then I started at Cross-Eyed Owl. So that's 5 breweries. I only shut 2 of them down.
That's something to put
Pretty
on
good
the
track
CV.
record, right? That's not bad.
That's something to broadcast to the world. So, okay, but okay, I don't know where to take back from that one, but yes. So you want to actually, you said that you learned a lot. Is that like, was that just from the people, or was it like different equipment?
Yeah. A lot of it is equipment. Working on different equipment makes you a better brewer because it gives you a different approach to. For instance, I had never worked on an internal calandria before and straight down internal calandria, which is it's all in steam jacket and there. And I had never worked on a system that big. Plus, I had a really massive augering system that was able to count out pounds of grain from their silos. So that was really interesting. And of course, what we have here is nothing. We're nowhere near that large at Cross-Eyed Owl. It's all done manually. But and it's just understanding how the equipment works. And of course, on the flip side, homebrewing gives you people who have homebrewed for years and years and years are also able to kind of rig ideas together to make your operation work. That I think that people who just come off the street and jump into a brewery and trained by the breweries, they don't have that advantage. So I mean, it works both ways. And there's a lot of people who work at breweries that had never experienced that they've never experienced actually making beer before, and that's their first job. So in the brewing industry, so it does help to come from a home brewing background. So especially if you can marry both of them together, I think it makes you a pretty good brewer.
And you're saying like Cross-Eyed Owl then. So where does that sit now? I'm going to mispronounce Decatur or Decatur.
Yeah, that's right. That's Decatur. Yeah. Okay. So Decatur is a growing a community. It's got a really cute downtown, and there are actually There's a hotel and some dorm rooms going up really close by. So it's poised to be. I think it makes this to be more of a potential to be successful for sure. We're a small pub. We do have, I think we have about 18 beers on tap, so that's not bad. And we also do some handcrafted sodas and that sort of thing. But
and how long is it open then? Because
this has been open since 2017, I believe. The brewery has been open. And like when I joked about closing stuff down, COVID shut so many breweries down. This one almost got shut down before because of COVID from the original owner, and was rescued by the people who I purchased it from. So there was a couple of really shaky years there. And so the two breweries that I was talking about, the one in Mobile and then Rocket Republic. Rocket still kind of exists, but COVID really messed both of those breweries up. So it wasn't me.
That's me, it's fair.
That's the story, anyways.
At least you have an alibi anyway, or something.
That's right. I got an excuse.
So you're there then. Yeah. So you, like you said, you started there just to help you doing the brewing, and now you decided to take the big leap in. Yeah,
I did. And so I got a buyout from Yellowhammer a little over a year ago. And so it made it so that it was financially feasible.
Right.
For me to buy it. And I think it's poised to be successful.
Right. And yeah, is it, like you said, it's a growing town. Is it like, if you've college dorms and that, is it a young community?
It is not a young community yet, but I will say that Decatur really, really supports this local brewery, which is another one of the main reason I bought it is because it comes with a building clientele, which not every brewery, can have that. And it's right downtown. Like yesterday was the first day we opened under my ownership, and people were here while we opened the doors. So,
right.
And you're talking about anywhere between in their 20s to 40s, 50s. So, okay. But there is a small arts college nearby, And so and there is another community college nearby. And so they are building dorms. So, we don't want any youngsters here, but we should get some, early 20s and that sort of thing. Crowd
Right.
too long.
Right. And 18 taps, are they all your beer?
Yep. Yeah, we're not allowed to have anything. We're not allowed to have guest taps the way that they're structured right now. There's ways to go around it, but we're also considered a production brewery, so we do ship some kegs out. So if we wanted to have guest taps, we would have to shut that down. We wouldn't be able to have any package like bottles or cans or anything like that. Wouldn't be able to sell growlers to go or anything. So that's just what it'll all set up.
I just keep coming across great shows from everywhere. Like over here, it's you can have a tap room. Over here, it's next to impossible to get a tap room in the first place. So
yeah,
so I suppose swings, but it's mad, some of the rules.
Yeah, it is. It all boils down to one thing, and that is somebody wants to collect money from the breweries.
Yeah, and
loopholes. There's no loopholes. It's you got to jump over hurdles to do it, and they want to collect. Just like this morning, I had to write out a nice hefty check to the health department. So it's they all want a little cut.
And and if it's not taking taxes, then it's someone else has a monopoly of, or some group has a monopoly they're protecting. So 18 taps. So then what are you brewing?
Right now, I'm not brewing anything, but I can go over what all my tap. I have a Belgian dark strong. I have a double IPA. I have a hazy IPA. I have a Mexican lager, which has a lime, which has actual lime puree in it. I have a Helles, a Dunkel. I have a pineapple sour. I have I'm getting ready to release a Maibach. I have did I say a Baltic porter? I have a Baltic porter and a regular porter and a Belgian triple and a Belgian quad. And there are probably a few that I'm missing.
Right. That is, that's a wide range for one brewery.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we pride ourselves on.
And what sells then? Like, do you have any there that don't sell, or do they all? Do you try and balance it out so that they're all selling at some rate, or do you think you could? Do you think you could do with a smaller tap thing and tap range? And people would be happy.
Not a smaller. I could actually probably add a couple of taps. The biggest sellers are we have our flagship beers, which are Space Owl, the Hazy IPA, which is that was our biggest seller yesterday. And we have our Lechuza Mexican Lager. I would say that's number 3. The River City Lager is probably number 2, and that one is it's basically a Helles. And then we have a porter, and I wouldn't say that's probably one of our top 6 sellers. We have a called One Shoe Porter, and that one is another one we keep on year round. People will riot if we don't have it. But we also have a Mug Club, so that's an exclusive tap for Mug Club members. Right now, the Belgian quad is on that for the Mug Club, and once every month I release a new beer, and that's exclusive for the Mug Club until the next month. And if there's any left, it goes to everybody goes into the tap room. But
okay, how does that work?
So you buy the mug,
for
$50, and then you have your mug. That is your mug. Then we keep it up. I'll show it to you real quick. Can you see him? Let me see. Can you see him?
Yep. See him there. Yeah.
So those are your mug. That's your mug. It's a number. You come in, you take the mug. They fill it for you. Like you don't get a discount because Alabama doesn't allow discounted beers. If you get discounted beer, everybody has to get the discount. But they don't say you can't just have an exclusive beer. So only the Mug Club gets that beer off the tap wall for 1 month, and then we wash it, the mug. We set it back up, and at the end of the year, you get your mug. And then we have special pop-up events and that sort of thing for the Mug Club members.
Okay, but it's a one-off annual payment. It's not like a subscription or.
Right, it's not a subscription, but we can run it a little bit like a subscription because if we have the events, then we charge for the events. So it's not really a subscription so much, but it does give us opportunity to create a little bit more revenue on special events that, and it's an exclusive event. So,
and it also obviously creates a community then around.
Yeah. Right.
I guess is the main benefit of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm still fascinated. So, like I'm still fascinated a bit, I suppose, about the clientele, the range of clientele, like with that range of beer caps, from the sours to that. It seems like, do people come in and they stick on one tap, or do they are people very adventurous in trying out the different beers there, or is it like separate groups of people?
That's a good question. To be honest, I'm not sure, and I've only ever worked the tap room a couple of times. I would need to ask the tap room manager that, and he's not here. By judging on how fast everything moves, and it's obviously seasonal because darker beers will move better in the winter than they do during the summer. But sometimes I'm just shocked at how fast we run through the beer. Now we do have I do have a 1-barrel brew house in addition to a 5-barrel brew house. So I'm able to crank out a lot of just small batch stuff, which is fun, which is what makes it kind of homebrew. Because I enjoy brewing and I enjoy, plugging in old recipes and releasing them. I know that there are some people who need to come in and they get River City Lager every time, and if we didn't have it, they probably wouldn't come back, So.
And so how do you decide what you're going to brew next? Is it going to be just what you feel like, or do you have a poll of people, your customers, or?
So what I do is I like to brew seasonally. So right now I'm doing a lot of lighter style beers, even some heavy, even if they're higher grav. Like I have the Belgian triple on right now. I don't have a poll, but I do want to start that, and I really want to start something of that with the Mug Club members. But there's no poll right now. It's basically just whatever I want to brew. But what I am going to do is I'm going to start as soon as I have the next event with the Mug Club. I'm going to probably pick out like 3 beer styles and have a piece of paper. Each one gets to write down which one they want, or they can write in something. And then I'll probably choose that. So that still gives me a little bit of control over it, because I'll say, well, these are the 3 beer styles I want to brew, which ones, and it gives them the feeling of having some control as well.
Yeah. And how many people are in that?
We have 50 people.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wouldn't want it any larger than that, just because we're not that big of we're really pretty small establishment. And so larger than that, it starts to you start losing just too many people, probably serve food and anything else.
Right. Yeah. How much food, how big is food in relation to it? Or is it like maybe
we don't serve food here personally. We don't have a restaurant. We do have food trucks. And it's not really set up to have a restaurant the way it is now. That may change at some point in time. But food trucks, when we have food trucks, it definitely increases our sales. And I would like to just have snacks if we could, but we're still working on that. Right.
But people are coming to you just for the beer. They're not coming for.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially when you say if it sounds like a really loyal kind of clientele. People.
We do have a loyal clientele. I would say that for sure. Right. Some of them think they own the place, I think. So.
wait till you start asking them their opinion on what beers to do. So anyway, I'll just throw out there again if anybody has any questions, because we'll be letting Keith go pretty soon because he's been generous of the time. But we have another few minutes, I think. So what is the beer scene now in Alabama? Like, where's it come in the last 10 years?
Well, yeah, it's definitely changed. I think there's still actually room for growth. And it's been interesting because I was, one of the forerunners on the vanguard of the beer scene in Alabama. So I have watched it change a lot. I think Alabama is, I don't want to sound harsh, but it's behind the rest of the country as far as as far as the beer scene goes. So what's popular on the West Coast doesn't hit us for a few years later. So I think that I think that there's room for more breweries. Like we're the only brewery in Decatur, and I'd like to stay that way. That'd be great. But on the other hand, there have been a bunch of breweries that have failed as well. But that's it. You know, I would say that the breweries that have failed, the percentage is smaller here than it is around the rest of the country, just because the per capita amount of people per brewery is still pretty high. Right. So, and but don't come to Alabama and open a brewery. That's not an invitation.
or pick a terrible distributor if you do.
Yeah, right. If you do, pick a bad distributor.
But so I guess in terms of like overall whatever it is, I think it's about like craft beer in America is now about 20% of the market. Is it?
Yeah, we never thought it was
in Alabama, or is it lower?
I would say it's lower, but you know that I'm not exactly sure what the numbers are. I would need to talk to the Brewers Guild what that is right now. But I will say that there are people who won't drink a Budweiser or a Michelob Light or a Michelob Ultra. There's plenty of people that would turn their nose up to that. So there are a lot of beer snobs here, and the difference is that you know, now when I first started brewing here, you had to go to Tennessee just to get any kind of beer selection. There was like, you know, you could get, like I said, under 6% in some imports and stuff, but now you can get anything. You can get just about anything here. And last time I went to we were in Chicago last year, and I looked through and they had definitely some local beers that you couldn't get here, but everything else, I was like, it's not, you know, you can get that in Alabama now. So
right. Well, it sounds like, I mean, you're producing an awful lot of that yourself. I'm still, you know, you're going from the sours to the Belgians, and you know, it's not all West Coast or hazy IPAs.
Yeah, no, you know, that's true. Yeah, and I'm not a big sour. I don't like sours. I do them because there's a market for it. But they are, and what I'm using is, some people might be familiar with, called Philly sour. So it's actually a yeast that produces lactic acid. It's not bacteria, okay. And so it creates a very pleasant, mild acidity, and then it's just like regular Saccharomyces. It can be killed by parasitic acid or whatever. It's not like Brettanomyces or that struggles under regular sanitization. So, but that's what I've been using for all of my sour beers right now, and it works really well. I don't have any barrel program sours. I mean, I'm just not a sour beer guy. So,
right. Any kind of, since you mentioned barrels, any kind of barrel aging for stouts or anything like that?
I do. Yeah, we have an imperial stout called Memento Mori that we age in some whiskey barrels. I actually just received 2 Angels Envy barrels that I'm going to be filling here shortly. They're freshly dumped, and but yeah, I did one for Christmas. It was a Memento Mori. It was aged on cacao nibs, vanilla, or something else. Can't remember right offhand, but it was aged in the whiskey barrel. That's what the other thing was. Right. And so coming up this year, one of my big goals is to start doing some hand bottling and bottle conditioning. So I'm going to be doing a lot of Belgian bottle conditioned beers, 500 milliliter bottles, and then I would like to do the Memento Mori, and we have a barley wine. Tempus Fugit that we would like to do those as well.
Right. So that's, yeah. So yeah, I keep coming back to the fact that, you know, you do this really, really wide range for.
I like a lot of different styles of beer.
Small, you know, but it's for like what you're saying, you know, like it's a small brewery. It's not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but even at Yellowhammer, I brewed a wide range of beers. I focused on German style and Belgian styles. But I did brew a lot. I think I'm known as locally as, you know, one of the brewers that likes to brew a bunch of different styles.
Right. And
I brew some. I want to get I'm looking to get in the next month or so a beer engine and start doing cask. So,
okay. Jeez,
So yeah, I'm looking to do that as soon as possible, actually.
So then you're basically like whatever you're now 10, 15, no, you said 97 you started home brewing, was it?
1996, right, 96.
96. So you're nearly 30 years into since you started brewing. It doesn't sound like you kind of got bored of it at all.
No, I know. It kind of got in my bones.
And is it just the creativity or is it just seeing people drink the beers afterwards like that gives you the buzz? Or
I think the thing about brewing is there's always something. It's a challenge, and there's always something new to learn. I mean, it's a science and an art, and the science part of it makes it continuously interesting, and the art part of it makes it so that you always have something fresh to apply to your canvas. And right. So, and I got into it, and I just never been able to get out of it. So, even had a rough time whenever I left Yellowhammer. I didn't know if I was going to do it or not anymore, and I got sucked back in. So,
and is there anything you haven't brewed yet that you really want to, or that you're planning to?
I can't really think of anything. I said all about the sours, and once I run through some of these barrels, I might actually do a Solera or something with a couple of barrels. So I do want to do some wine. We have our manufacturer's license. I have to get with the feds. So I would like to do some wine just for in-house, which isn't beer, of course, but I'm kind of interested in that. And I've done some distilling as well. I actually opened Yellowhammer's distillery and started all of that. I'm not a big fan of doing the actual distilling. However, if we ever get the capacity, I might run something like that. One of the nice things about the manufacturing licenses in Alabama is they do allow you to do all three. You can run a distillery, a winery, and a brewery out of the same location. So that's one of the freedoms that we do have.
Right, you just can't sell it to anybody after.
Right, not make any money off of it, anyways.
Right.
You can't make any money.
Yeah, that's forbidden. It's written into the contract.
That's right.
So where are you going then? Like you said, yesterday was your first day under your.
Yeah, the first day we were open legal. I mean, but we were not open illegal. Make that clear. But it was the first day we were actually open with insurance. And then the health department came and decided that we needed to have some more license. So luckily they worked with us, and I was able to go get that cleared up today. And so we are ready to roll.
So is it going to be? Do you have a big party planned, or have you
Party?
already?
No, the thing is that they did a big rebranding last year, and it was right after I came on board. So this is kind of old hat for me already. I mean, The thing is I've already feel like I've been running the brewery. The former owners were not interested in the brewery and that's why I got. So they sold it to me on a pretty good deal, and they wanted to make sure it was taken care of, and they knew that I would do that. So so it's not a whole lot different outside of that. I got everything's coming out of my checking account now, Yeah. But outside of that, it's the same.
Yeah, and the people know you were there and that, so you're not
right.
It's not a new face coming in.
Yeah.
Right. Well, okay, I'm going to give one more shout because we still have a few people here. If you have any last questions, because I think we're going to leave Keith go because he's been pretty generous with his time. And I don't know, it's fascinating. I mean, just the journey that you've gone. Like, I mean, that jump and then sticking at it through times you weren't 100% sure.
Yeah. I think I won Alabama Brewmaster of the Year in 2017, and boy, and then I couldn't believe it whenever the way I ended up leaving Yellowhammer. I didn't think I was ever going to leave there, but so yeah, it's been one heck of a journey. I will say that it's been interesting, but I love it. So I am proud to be owner and sole proprietor down here right now. So I'm looking forward to moving into the next. Go ahead.
Next 10 years. Yeah, it sounds like you're in a good position and with a good location and a good brewery.
That being said, if everybody wants to buy it, like it's for sale. There's always a price.
Always. All right. Well, listen, Keith, best of luck with it. Thanks a million for your time.
I appreciate it.
Really enjoyed the chat. I know nothing about brewing in Alabama, so I even learned technicalities and legal stuff that I didn't expect.
Sure. Yeah. Well, if you ever want to chat again, just let me know.
Will do. Best of luck so on the new venture, and we'll talk to. Looks like nobody has questions. We do still have people watching us though, so we're entertaining some people anyway.
That's good.
All right, listen, Keith. I'll finish up there. I'll let you go, and
right.
thanks again. Thanks a million for your time.
That was fun. I appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thanks a million.
Take care. Bye.